The AnarchoChristian Podcast, evaluating the relationship between the Christian and the state.
I'm rising up with a full heart. I'm taking my strength from inside. I'm rising up with a new mind. I'm taking your words and let you behind. I'm coming up from underneath the red.
Hey everybody, welcome to our first episode of the AnarchoChristian Podcast. I'm really excited to finally get this out to you. It's taken a little while, but all good things come to those who wait, right? So first and foremost, I really appreciate you taking the time to download this episode or to watch it on YouTube. Without you guys, we couldn't do this. We've had a tremendous amount of support from our website and our social media pages. And just without you guys, we couldn't do this. So I really appreciate it. I'm going to try not to waste your time. I'm going to try to give you some material that is valuable to you. And I hope that you come back for more. And that'll keep us going. That'll keep us constantly trying to raise the bar, make better quality articles and podcasts, and just all around try to improve what we're doing constantly. And we do it for you guys. And I really appreciate all of the love and support that we've received so far through our website, our Facebook, Twitter page. And if you haven't checked us out already, you should. I'll put the links in the show notes after the episode, and check us out. Our website is AnarchoChristian.com, and we have all the links to all of our social media pages there as well, and as well as articles that we write and republish, and that all has to do with the anarcho-Christian theme. So that's leading into what I wanted to talk about for our first episode, is just to go over exactly what is anarcho-Christian. Our website has been up for a little while, and we post articles dealing with Christianity and anarchism. And what we're hoping to do is just in small bursts, not anything long or extremely academic, but just for the layman, what is Christian anarchism? We go over teachers from the past, theologians from the past, teachers and theologians and speakers and economists of the present, and just try to expose something that we believe needs more exposure in our country and in our church. One thing that we don't focus on a lot is a specific theology or interpretation or denomination within Christianity. That's something that, of course, is extremely important. And myself and the other contributors to AnarchoChristian all have solid, firm beliefs in a particular set of values and denominations and interpretations, whatever you want to call it. But that is not what AnarchoChristian is for. We've had people reach out to us and say that they wish they could support this or that, but they don't appreciate that some of the people that we might highlight or spotlight within the Christian anarchist community and history is of a particular faith. And I completely understand that. It was actually something that was a little bit daunting at first getting into the website, was how do we do this? Because there is this initial feeling at first when you do have a very strong conviction about particular theological salvific points about the Bible, about your faith, and it's difficult to spotlight people that have something that might be completely contradictory to what you believe. So I just want to put it out there that that is not our point in AnarchoChristian. And now I've had many great conversations through our website and through private messaging where people have asked where it is that where we come from with our specific beliefs. And I have no problem going into that. I enjoy it. It's, just as much fun and of interest to me as the anarchism side of this conversation. But I don't want anyone to feel pushed out or neglected or made to even feel inferior, which is where a lot of those theological conversations can go, especially online. So that's not our point. Now, if you do want to know some information about where we're coming from personally, shoot us a message, shoot us a text, and let me know, and we'll talk about it, and we'll have a lot of fun doing it, even if we don't agree. So what we are trying to do is focus on teachers and theologians of the past and of the present that do teach what is something different than what we do have in the mainline Christianity and mainline church today in America. And just a quick browse of the website, you'll see that there are people that are just completely unapologetically anarchist, use the term anarchist, and then other people whom, if we were to dive down into it, might be minarchists, but yet they show a very different approach to Christianity and the state than what we see now in the mainline denominations, which is obvious. If you're here listening now, it's probably because you've noticed that something's just not right, that there is a over glorification of the state in the modern church today, and it's just not sitting right with you. Well, that's right here, and I appreciate that, and we're here to give you support because there is something wrong. So that's the purpose of AnarchoChristian. Now, the style that you might see, it's sometimes it's been just as alarming as even the topic itself of anarchism. But we kind of play around a little bit with our logos on the websites and the Facebook pages of Leo Tolstoy there in a bandana, and he looks like some sort of Antifa anarchist, violent thug. But that's all kind of part of the joke as well. Of course, we do not condone any sort of violence whatsoever. And I think just spending a little bit of time on the material that we've put out, you'll see that and confirm that. But it's borrowing a lot from the anarcho-punk, DIY, punk ethic, crust hardcore thing. Growing up, I was plugged into that scene a little bit, and it's always been something that is still kind of fun. And that's it. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek approach to that particular subculture, mixed with what you see today, and sometimes wrongfully accusatory perspective toward anarchism. So kind of tongue-in-cheek there. Try to have a little fun with it. And I think that some people at first might take it as some sort of condoning of violence or Antifa or something like that. But like I said, you spend a little bit of time with us, and I think that you see right away that it's not. So the purpose of AnarchoChristian is really, it's an outlet for Christian anarchism. It's an outlet for material that's been around for quite a while, that really doesn't get a lot of exposure. And we really wanted to come up with something that shines a light on something that's been buried, something that's been forgotten about, something that it's been there. There are plenty of people still writing material that is in the same line of Christian anarchism from long ago. Some of it nuanced, some of it straightforward, but we wanted to give an outlet for that. There isn't enough. There really is not enough outlets. So we wanted to make one, and we've been very successful. Our Facebook page, our website has been very successful. In our first year, we've had a lot of people reach out to us, a lot of people follow us, and it's been very exciting. And I'm really looking forward to what this next year is going to bring us. With all of that said, I think diving into maybe what is Christian anarchism might be a good first step, but I don't want to get into a lot of the nitty gritty. I understand that the term, especially now, has been so overused and used incorrectly that sometimes it can be kind of scary. And for a lot of Christians, with the way that in the last 150 years, the way that our country has gone, they've really built a dependence on the state. And so this conflation of the state and the church, it even becomes not just scary socially, but also borderline heretical, which of course it's not, but that is the way a lot of people look at it. And so I understand that the anarchist term turns people off, and there's even plenty of arguments to be had on, should we even use the term? But that's not what I want to get into today. But I do want to acknowledge that these are the topics that we are going to dive into with this podcast, and we're currently diving into with our Facebook page, Twitter page, and our website. So I think the most basic understanding of Christian anarchism is really summed up in a very short phrase that we like to use a lot, and that is no king but Christ. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell. And you can focus on that. You can chew on it a little bit, and that's what it always comes back to. And I hope to really flesh that out as we move on with our podcast, and give you plenty of material from the website to really flesh that out, and that whole theme and the whole concept. As well, you're always going to get the topic of the Christian and their relationship to the state. Sometimes that comes across in economics. Sometimes it comes across in talking about morality. It's always coming back, though, to the Bible. And what does the Bible tell us? How does the Bible tell us Christians the way that we should communicate, the way we should interact with other Christians, other people who may not believe the same thing that we do, with the state? Who is the state? I mean, all of these things, these are huge, huge topics, and we're not going to get into it today, but that is something that we dive into on a daily basis through our different outlets. So if you haven't already, I'd like to encourage you to check that out. You won't be disappointed. But what can you expect from us as far as the material that we're putting out? So you already had the idea of what it is we're talking about. Now, the material that you've probably seen from the site already, we dive into anarchism, voluntarism, libertarianism. We dive into what I've already discussed about the Christian and the state, and what's the relationship, what's the proper roles there, the relationship between the church and the state. We dive into history, American history, church history, not just the history of people who have written about anarchism, but the history of anything, of everything that, happened 20 years ago, 100 years ago. It's all, taken steps to lead up to what we're going through right now as far as a country and a church. So we get into all of that, and we're going to get into that here in the podcast as well. And furthermore, with the podcast, I hope to really expand this out to a couple of different formats, really, some interviews. We've got things lined up, so to speak, with other guys that are doing podcasts right now in the Liberty movement. I'd also like to dive into reading, really exposing a lot of just Christian anarchist writings, be it portions from books or understandings from the Bible, and just comparing that with what we see today, what we should be doing, compare it with the Bible, what other theologians are saying, what other anarchists are saying. And I hope to give you plenty of material on the website and the podcast with all of that. It's not something that is extremely, popular out there in the mainstream, but there is a lot of material out there. And I like to do things in smaller dosages. There's a lot of great academic writing out there that could take you, hours to consume or days. And it's great stuff. We link to it a lot. But what I'd like to do is really provide you that short spurt of information, something that we could go through quickly. Everyone's busy these days. You try to tell your friends about it. I want to be there for you when you want to explain to your friend why you believe what you believe. Well, here's a link to AnarchoChristian Podcast or the website or something from any of the other outlets. And this is it right here real quick, and that's what we hope to accomplish. So other than that, just hit that subscribe button on the podcast or the YouTube page. Hit us up on our website, our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'll have all the links on the show notes page here or on the website. And I really appreciate the time that you took to listen to this episode. And just remember, no king but Christ.
Thank you for listening to the AnarchoChristian Podcast. Subscribe to our email notifications at AnarchoChristian.com. Like us on Facebook.com/AnarchoChristian and follow us on Twitter at AnarchoXP. Subscribe to our podcast and YouTube to join us next time as we continue to evaluate the relationship between the Christian and the state. No king but Christ.